We're in Birmingham today to do a deliberative assembly with older black and minority ethnic people. It's part of Runnymede's work on financial inclusion.
There's two obvious reasons to choose Birmingham. First is that it's, after London, the city with the most ethnic minorities living in the UK. And the other interesting feature is it actually has more or less all of the ethnic groups. So we feel like we're getting the experience of Birmingham, but also the experience of different ethnic minorities living in the UK.
We know that older BME people are more likely to experience pensioner poverty, or less likely to have a private pension as this population ages and grows in size. It's important to study whether this disadvantage will continue and what we and what government can do to offset some of that disadvantage. The population of BME people, black and minority ethnic people in the UK, is growing quite quickly. In 2001, there were 9% of the population were BME. By 2050, this is projected to be 30%. It's always a little bit tricky to get in touch with older people in black and minority ethnic communities. They tend to be just a bit harder to access, they're a bit more hidden away.
We've done a few focus groups and we've done some background research, but obviously it's not good enough just to read books, we actually want to talk to some people. And that's really what today's about.
Older people have contributed to the life which younger people are now enjoying. Yes. And people mustn't forget that. We are not a hindrance to society, we are an asset.
The government needs to rethink their strategy. We need to give opportunities to young people to be able to work and earn money that will in turn give them a pension but also help to look after an older population. And we need to give older people a bloody rest. You know, we're all tired.
What concerns me is the retirement age increasing.
At least 70 by the time I'm getting there, I think. And that's a great worry because I think I'll be on my Zimmer frame still going to work.
I don't want to get up in the morning with aches and pains thinking, God, another day at work.
There should be an age limit. There should be, say for example, 60 for a woman and 65 for a man.
Human rights should be same age for everybody. You know. So personally, if you're saying to a woman can finish at 60, a man finishes at 65, the man retires about 2 months after, he's going to drop dead.
I don't think politicians listen to people. I was a politician myself, and basically I was always in trouble for listening anyway.
They will listen if you have a better rapport with your local MPs. It depends how close you are with your local MPs for them to take it back to the House of Commons. But generally, I don't think they listen.
I think the government needs to do a bit more in terms of information.
With the right information, I can make the right choices, because I have got not one clue as to what to do.
So the banks have let us down, the way they provide information and what support. Some banks you can't even access information and advice easily, and you can't even trust it these days.
I've got friends who go to the bank to get a loan to set up a small business and they turn away. The amount of hoops they've got to go through. Oh, do another business plan. You go and do it and refund, come back, there's always something else there.
Banks should say who they're lending to, who they're not lending to, and disclose that data by ethnicity and postcode. It's a justice question, but it's also an efficiency question, especially at a time when our economy needs all the help it can get.
All my finances, all my savings are going on my children. I have very little to put aside for pension or a private pension.
So the age group that we're in, we're expected to care for our parents and our older family members. We are expected to pay for our children's houses or keep them in our own, rent-free.
If you've got grandchildren, you are very, very worried for them because your kids are struggling to meet the financial circumstances which they're in. And then it means that the pressure is now put on your grandkids.
Financially, I know that I'm going to have some struggle.
Fuel bill has gone up 3 times in the past 2 years. Your pension has gone up once.
If the cost of living keeps on going up, how can you possibly save? You need food, heating, because you're getting older because of your aches and pains. You can't stay in the cold. So how can you possibly save?
The question is, will there be enough in the treasury or the kitty for me to benefit from in terms of pension that my parents are enjoying now? Or will there be any for me?
Traditionally, the Asian families did save, but what they did with their savings is send it back home to family they'd left behind. And that's because they feel a moral obligation to them.
It's the culture about being brought up back home, that you have to send money home to look after your family. It's a link of community, a link of family culture that we still maintain.
There's a lot of confusion and unawareness about things like, if I retire to this country, will my pensions go up? If I retire to that country, will I still have good access to health care? And I think people are making decisions not being maybe fully informed of the consequences of those choices.
It's a handful of countries outside of the EU that do annually uprate pensions. Every other country, the pension is frozen.
We people go home, we want our pension, we want our annual rise as well. I asked this question to my own MP for Selyoke. He said, Mr. Mann, I sympathize with you, but we don't know what the inflation over there is. I said, this is not the point. I said, we're paying for it over here. For God bless me. I said, you don't look into that, what we paid over there in Pakistan.
People do want to talk. Not only that they want to talk, but they're actually capable of a very high level of discussion. It's just not true that people are totally disengaged. It's just not true that people don't know policy questions. When you talk to older people, you'll find that they really very much do know the difference between rates of inflation, how that's measured, because it really affects their pocket.
We should all actually come together more in a more consistent way and actually make our voices heard, because the contribution that we make in terms of money is enormous. And the contribution that we make in terms of just being there as an example to younger people is incredible.
I think today was excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I like the opportunity it gave. I think it's so important. Accessing forums and events that allow you to express your views and opinions are wonderful.
It has been an excellent eye-opener for me, because there were things that I was hearing which I never heard before. I'm very pleased that I came.
I know people have been asking, when is the next session? Put me on the next one.